Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Kero Riri Paddle, and today I'm sitting down with Electro-kid, also known as Clancy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, I'm great. I came across Clancy's profile through mutual friends and explore page, but their cosplay is such a unique approach to what I've been seeing a lot lately on the scene. And I really think that this is going to be a great interview. We also share a lot of, I would say we appreciate the same series, but we may also beef about some of the series that they like because I am a little bit of an elitist when it comes to anime.
Oh boy. That's understandable to a degree.
Awesome. Then let's get this show on the road. Do you,
Woohoo.
do you think you could tell the audience a little bit about you?
Okay, so hi, I'm Clancy. I am a cosplayer from the GTA, Greater Toronto Area, and I've been cosplaying for about 6 years now, which is wild to me. I realized that literally right before this interview that it's been 6 years. So I've been involved in the cosplay scene in Toronto for a while now, and I love what it has to offer. And I love makeup and making styling wigs and making my own cosplays as well as altering ones I already buy. So it's just a fun form of creative expression that I very much enjoy.
How did you discover and get into cosplay?
All right, so I started cosplaying because it really all started when I was in like seventh grade, and I was really into Attack on Titan, which is a popular fandom now. Funny enough, I'm not really a part of it now, but I was really into it back in the day, and I made my first cosplay completely by hand with the help of my parents, and I wore it on Halloween. It was Annie from Attack on Titan, and that following March I won free tickets to March Toronto Comic Con, and I was like, you know what? I want to dress up. If I'm gonna go, I may as well just do this right. And from that point on, I've been going to multiple cons a year, and it just never really stopped up until COVID.
Oh, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Did you have a potato?
It was Annie. So Sasha's got the potatoes, if I remember correctly.
No, 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 you got it. I was just asking if you had a potato because I know a lot of people, they'll carry around the potato so when they meet up with other AOT cosplayers, they'll pass it along to
Oh.
them.
Oh, I that's so smart.
I,
Yeah, I should have thought of that.
it's like if you're a Pokemon cosplayer, you'll pass around like a Pokeball and stuff. You know what? I feel like we're going to be able to have a great discussion about like different trends that we've experienced within our cosplaying circles. I'm a little bit older than you, so when I was cosplaying, it came from a very different scene, and I feel that how you guys cosplay today, it's a lot more intricate. And there's a lot more
hmm
thought put into it. You guys are exceptional when it comes to like engaging with your characters and your fans, but also it's a lot more calculated. I feel. You said your parents helped you out with your cosplay, and you ended up winning tickets to Toronto Comic Con, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. What other cons have you been to, and do you go to cosplay with your parents, with any other family or friends?
All right. So when I first started cosplaying, I typically only went to March Toronto Comic Con and Fan Expo. And I typically went with my dad. And as I grew up, I started going by myself. And I didn't really have many friends at first. But eventually, for pretty quickly, actually, I formed a pretty tight knit group of friends that I would go to cons with, and I would hang out with them, and I would meet new people, and they would become friends I would go to cons with. My social circle has expanded like crazy since I started going to conventions. But the ones I typically go to now include my favorite Anime North and March Toronto Comic Con, Fan Expo, and the little ones scattered in between, like December Comic Con, and that might be Fan Expo, but there's a December one too, and one in January. There's just a lot.
I don't know if they still run it. Well, back when events were still a thing. But did you ever go to that J dance at
J Dance.
at the JCCC?
Oh, have been to a con at the JCCC. It was not called J Dance. It was called Anime North Halloween. It
Okay,
was a
cool.
Halloween con. It happened 1 year only.
Nice. Okay. Well, when I last went, it was probably before Anime North bought it out or whatever. But yeah, like that's great. That you've gone to so many different events within the city. There weren't as many events in like 2011, 2012, but it's incredible to see how much it's grown and how mainstream even anime has become and gaming in general.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's amazing how much, like, even when I can imagine, like, for someone who's older than me, it would be very much more so. But even when I was younger, it was still just a little weird for someone to be really invested in anime. It's completely normalized now. No one bats an eye at it. And I think that's awesome.
It really is. I can go to the grocery store and you'll see someone wearing like Mangekyo Sharingan contact lenses, or they'll have like Survey Corps like gear on or something, and like no one blinks an eye.
Hmm.
But like way back in the day, like that was really unheard of.
Yeah, definitely. Times have changed, but like in a good way. So that's good.
As I was saying earlier, I came across your page through a mutual acquaintance and I've seen your work on the Explore page. I really like your approach to not only cosplay but social media engagement. You're super involved with your fans with comments on IG. You respond back to many people and you have great conversations with them. And also, your TikTok is really trendy and it's very well put together.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Social media is something I try my best not to get too swept up into, but I also use it as a means of self-expression. So as much as I used to cosplay and only cosplay at conventions, social media has become a way for me to cosplay year round. And I not just doing the makeup and the wigs and the costumes is something that I do now. I also take the time to make my edit my photos so the colors look better, and arrange posts, and it's become like an art form of its own. I wouldn't really call it art, but it's definitely something that I've adapted to do over time and I enjoy.
Do you feel that with the lack of events going on right now, but the uptick in social media, the time spent by people, that it's kind of supplementing what it means to be a cosplayer, that you now have to have an identity online, but that also gives you the freedom to be very expressive with your cosplay?
That's an interesting take. I understand that social media can be a way for people to put their content out there for the world, but I feel like cosplaying and being a quote unquote cosplayer is really what it means to the person cosplaying. Because some person who dresses up once a year, maybe even on Halloween in an anime costume, could still call themselves a cosplayer if they consider what they're doing cosplay. They don't necessarily need to build an online persona like a lot of cosplayers do to call themselves a cosplayer. It's just a great way to share their work with others and show the world what they can do if that's what they're interested in.
Interesting perspective. When I was coming up with cosplay, we didn't have as many social media platforms. Like, they obviously existed. There were forums, a MySpace, early Facebook, obviously, even early Twitter. But like Instagram was pretty new, if not yet to be released, and a lot of our content was being posted through Tumblr or LiveJournal, or if I even want to go back and date myself a bit, geosites. So it's do you know geosites?
I actually have no clue.
Good, good, good. I would feel I don't know. Geosites is that's a relic of the past,
Oh
but
boy.
it's really incredible because I came from an era where cosplay reports and con reports was normal. 2 or 3 times a year you would see someone have a large article written about their experiences, who they met up with, what photographers they collaborated with, and they'd have maybe a dozen photos. Now you can have multiple tweets, you can engage with other artists and cosplayers quickly through social media. You can post anything you want from your bedroom every single day. So I think it really does expand the entire experience of what cosplay is. But going off of that, do you think that cosplay is going to continue to grow through a social media presence instead of an in-person experience?
Well, I do think that to a degree. just looking at the trend of like how social media comes out and then cosplayers find a way to incorporate cosplay into that social media, I don't think anyone would have really expected cosplay to be such a huge part of like apps like TikTok and before that Musical.ly, and or even like when Instagram first started, I'm sure there wasn't a million and one cosplay accounts, but cosplay is an art form that finds its way into social media. So as the new social media comes, it's going to adapt to that.
Is there anything you don't like about the current wave of cosplay, whether it's in person or online?
Well, there's definitely a lot of problematic aspects that come along with such a huge community, with such a diverse group of people. Being a cosplayer doesn't make someone immune from being discriminatory to others. It doesn't make people immune from being problematic. And while there seems to be this ultra like politically correct, like you have with cancel culture right now, that everyone has to be perfect and not make any mistakes. There's that kind of a vibe like that, but at the same time, there's plenty of cosplayers who are doing things that are pretty offensive, whether it's taping back their eyes to make them appear more Asian when they cosplay, when they're white, which I don't like that at all. Or just saying to POC cosplayers, you can't cosplay this character because you're not white or you're not Asian. That is a massive problem in the community, and sometimes I feel like it gets glossed over, and the people who speak up about it really have to work hard to make their voice heard because it's such a huge community.
Clancy, I'm going to tell you a story. I believe I've mentioned this on my channel before, but tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
I was once at a convention with a friend of mine, and we were cosplaying as Pokemon, as we usually do, low effort cosplay, and my friend was approached by another Pokemon cosplayer who said, "Hey, you look great, but I think it'd be better if you went as Brock." Because they're Filipino and they're dark skin, and I forget, I think it was Lance or one of the gym leaders, but they were told straight up to their face, like, "Hey man, great cosplay, but try Brock next time. Like, you could do your hair like Brock, you can look like him," and they walked off. And it was so weird because that's an experience that I saw. But it's an experience that if you go online and you look back in all those ancient websites, like I mentioned, it was very normal for people to encounter that, whether you're a POC or you had a different body shape or your cosplay wasn't like to the T to what the character was. You would meet someone, a gatekeeper, who would come in and make some sort of horrible remark, and that was okay. I really appreciate the accountability that exists today in cosplay. Yes, there is some times like I feel like it pigeonholes somebody to having to do right all of the time, which, you know, can be difficult, but also we've improved so much with the mentality of cosplay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me any personal experiences you may have had that you would have found to be offensive while you cosplayed, whether online or in person?
Well, it's a little bit of a different direction, but still an important conversation to have. A few years back, I was cosplaying Micah from Blend S, and I was actually leaving the convention, and I was approached by, it's kind of a topic that surrounds sexual harassment, and that is also a problem in the cosplay community. I was actually it's a little bit of a different direction, sorry, but I was approached by two men, and they just were hitting on me a lot. It started with friendly conversation. I was maybe 14 at the time, and they were two like grown men, and they told me, "Oh, we were going to this convention to pick up chicks." And I was like, okay. And they proceeded to make a bunch of gross remarks about what I was wearing and telling me I should go back with them. I was just leaving con at that point. And it was just a very, very weird experience for a young Clancy to go through. And I have had many experiences like it since then, unfortunately, including photographers and other cosplayers and con attendees who can't keep their hands to themselves during when they're taking a photo. As I said, I once had a photographer tell me, this is a little different, but it's just as annoying. I once had a photographer give me a countdown so I knew when to suck in my stomach for the photo. Yeah,
I
that
beg
was
your pardon?
uncomfortable. Yeah, I was wearing a swimsuit. It was a beach photo shoot, and he told me, "All right, just I'll count to 3 so you know when to suck in." I was 15. It wasn't great.
I'm really sorry to hear that. That's pretty fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's fine though.
Well,
Well, it's not fine, but I as much as I want to say like I don't want to say I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to it. There's going to be creeps, but hopefully that changes with time because we've seen how much things have changed.
absolutely. And like that's why I push for, even though like I say I'm a little bit of an elitist of how cosplay used to be, how anime and that community, how gaming used to be, there is accountability now, and no person, whether you're 30, you're 15, you're 20 or whatever, should have to put up with that. Like that's just strange behavior, and in other circles photographers would lose their job and be blackballed for very good reason for even making a comment like that. And girls, boys, whatever, it doesn't matter the environment that you're in, you shouldn't have strangers, especially grown strangers, approach you and start questioning you, wanting you to come back with them. There should be an environment where they're protected. I don't know. That's very weird.
No, I totally hear what you're saying, and I very much agree.
Okay, let's move on to something a little a little lighter.
Awesome.
You're clearly a fan of anime.
Yes, I am. That is just looking around my room. I'm looking at this giant Gurren Lagann poster I've got right behind my door. And all the wigs right above my camera. So
Nice.
I'm a little bit of a fan of anime.
Okay, would you consider yourself a weeb?
A weeb. I used to. I don't really identify with the term now because it's kind of just a short form for weeaboo, and I don't really agree with that for myself. But as just a casual, like, weeb meaning anime fan, then yes. I guess, if that makes sense.
It does. I like that you actually said that. We never used the word weeb when I was coming up. I've always loved anime. My uncle is an anime fan, so like when I was introduced to it as a very young kid, like it didn't feel like anything different to me. I didn't know like you would get labels attached to you. The only real label we would get is otaku.
I know otaku. I used to call myself an otaku.
I still call myself an otaku. My old email had otaku in it.
My god.
I have resumes floating out there with otaku on it. That's embarrassing. But yeah, it's interesting how far the community has come. I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got into anime and manga and what you're currently reading and watching.
Ooh, okay. How I got into anime. I think I was really young when I first got exposed to it, but I wasn't really aware what I was watching was anime. I was just a kid who was like, "Oh, Pokemon's great. I love Pokemon." And I played the games and I collected the cards and I was really into Pokemon, but I never really considered myself an anime fan because I didn't really know what anime was. I watched Ghibli films when I was young, and like especially Secret Life of Arrietty. And I didn't know it was anime. I just thought, ooh, pretty colors, pretty characters, pretty animation. And then as I grew up, a few of my friends were really into Ouran High School Host Club. And that was
Nice.
that I consider my first anime. I consider it my first anime because I sat down and I think it was just when Netflix came out. Or it was around that time and it was on it, or I watched it online, either or. But I'm pretty sure it was at the start of Netflix. And I watched it there. And from that point on, I just gobbled up anime. I was obsessed with it. I was possessed. I watched Attack on Titan around that time when it first came out. Other animes, Black Butler. I was never the biggest Black Butler fan, but I did watch it. I'm trying to remember all the animes that I watched throughout middle school and that time period, but there was a lot. I have in my anime list account somewhere, but I haven't updated it in a while. But what I'm watching now, well, I've actually just been swamped with college application season. So I've actually been knocked off my anime watching game for a bit. What I do enjoy very much at the moment is The Great Pretender on Netflix. Ugh, it's so good. I am on season 2. There are 2 seasons, and the character design, the soundtrack, which is all jazz, and the animation is just so good. I seriously recommend it to anyone. It's just enjoyable for everyone at pretty much every age, I think. Except, wait, there's some good amount of violence in there. Maybe not every age.
It's okay. I was watching Cowboy Bebop when I was a kid. So
Oh, I love Cowboy Bebop.
I really like that Netflix came out and has shown so many people so many different anime. When I was younger, me and my friends would talk about the reruns of Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Seed and Witch Hunter Robin and all of those other series. And, it was fun. We didn't know any better, but we would always be waiting for like the fan subs of like whatever the new hot series was, like Code Geass or Gundam Seed Destiny. And I think when streaming services became the norm and we were getting all of those animes, that's kind of what contributed to the mainstream boom.
Yeah, I would definitely agree because it just made it so much more accessible for pretty much anyone who has access to the internet. You're able to watch anime because it would be on YouTube, it would be on illegal streaming sites, it would be everywhere. So you could watch it if you really wanted to.
You mentioned Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Any other older shows that you appreciate?
Oh,
you might be able to.
Yeah, my favorite show, I could talk about it for hours, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
All
so
right.
good.
All
so
right.
good.
That's amazing.
I cosplay Asuka.
I saw. Amazing. Really good work. I'm gonna have some of your cosplay images popping up on this.
Oh, awesome.
We'll be able to appreciate what you do. But
thank you.
Is Asuka best girl?
Is Asuka best girl? Actually, the correct answer is Misato is best girl.
Oh,
definitely.
Wow.
I will not tolerate the Rei versus Asuka debate. It's just Misato.
That was a huge thing back in the day.
I know.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
What about manga?
Manga. I gotta look at my manga shelf.
You have a manga shelf.
It's right there. It's pretty small.
Wow.
But from the looks of it, I used to be really into the Attack on Titan manga, but I fell off that a few years back. And except it seems to be surging in popularity right now because it just ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was really into my favorite manga is Assassination Classroom, which I have to say is the only manga I've pretty much read the whole way through. I normally buy a few volumes and then I never look at them again. But I actually kept up with that one. And I'm also keeping up with a really popular show right now that I was really into a few years back, and then I picked it up again recently. I'm just reading the recent chapters. I kind of just missed like 20 volumes, but My Hero Academia.
Okay, I want to talk to you about My Hero.
Oh, I could talk about the recent updates of My Hero forever.
I actually dropped the series.
Oh, you know what? Actually, so did I, but I only picked it up again for 2 characters.
Really? Who are the characters?
Yeah. Dobby and Hawks.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I love them so much. I could write essays on him. I actually did write an essay on Dobby for my philosophy class.
No way.
No, I literally did like a few weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Commitment.
Okay. Wow. I had a Shaman King presentation back in grade school, and I got a C.
Oh no, I got like a 93 on this essay about Dobby.
See, this is what I mean. This is like the acceptance. I'm sure your teacher was like grading and like, oh my god, this is an incredible paper.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think I did him justice.
Nice.
It was all about the philosophy of his upbringing and whether he could whether it was all about the philosophy of his backstory and whether there's truly a moral good or bad in that situation.
Okay.
So yeah, philosophy stuff.
Nice. Well, anime characters are a lot more complex today than back in the day, but yeah. So My Hero is such a popular series.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I don't like. I like it. It's not a bad series.
It's okay. I actually am not the biggest fan of it either. I only keep up with it for, as I said, 2 characters. So feel free to criticize it as much as you want.
Thank you for giving me permission to do that. Okay, great. I do like My Hero. I like how it takes a lot of the shonen tropes and it perfects them. But I also feel that everything that I've seen about My Hero that people like, I've read in other series done much better. And I also I feel that same way with Jujutsu Kaisen. I
haven't watched it. I have not watched it. Everyone's telling me to. I don't have the time right now. I probably will later.
Yeah, like watch it. I think it's actually one of the few animes where they improve on the manga with the pacing. So I would recommend the anime over the manga. But I don't like these series. I feel like everything that I'm reading it's quite clear that the mangakas were fans of the same series that I was a fan of coming up, and they're just taking elements from all of those popular long-running series and putting it into their own without offering it any real identity, which isn't always fair to say because I believe all art is inspired by something else, but I feel like the influences are being worn on the sleeves so easily. What about My Hero do you like aside from the 2 characters? Because I also know My Hero cosplay is extremely popular.
Yeah, I was so into My Hero cosplay. Honestly, I would just say overall the character design. I'm an artist, so an art standpoint, I just think, especially in the manga, just the designs of the characters seems to be really, really good. I liked it a lot. It's very nice to look at and intriguing. I found myself when I was in the peak of my My Hero Academia phase, I would be designing my own hero suits because I was so inspired by what they were all looking like. Certain elements of the character design I wasn't a huge fan of. Like, why did Momo, a 16-year-old, have to have a giant cutout on her boobs? I didn't get that when she could have just had any other visible area of skin for her quirk to work. But that's just the way it was. But that's a good question. I just think it's enjoyable, frankly. When I did watch it, that's what I thought. I just thought it was something that really kept me excited. I would wait all night for the next season to drop. And it gave me that feeling of anticipation it's not unique to My Hero, but it's just a sign of a decent show. Also, it's got some pretty cool animation, so that never hurts.
Yes, that's true. Anime today looks better than ever before. I will.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the same sentiments towards AOT?
Attack on Titan. I have a complex relationship with Attack on Titan, and I don't feel as if I would be able to accurately make judgments on it because I haven't watched the anime in years. Okay. But when I did watch it, which was back when it first came out, I liked it a lot. But I wasn't really analyzing it through a critical anime fan gaze. It was like a newcomer's, whoa, this is so cool kind of gaze. So I don't think I could make any really valid critique of Attack on Titan beyond some of my own personal biases.
Okay, that's fine. That's a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah, I just don't want to speak on anything that I know I'm just going to be talking out of my ass. So,
what about Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer, I am not up to date. As I said, I have been swamped in college applications, so I haven't been watching a ton of anime recently. But I did watch the first, up until Mitsuri was introduced, because that's as far as I got. And I think it's great. As I said, the animation is beautiful. I love Bryce Papenbrook as a voice actor. So hearing him as Inosuke was really nice because even though a lot of his voices sound very, very similar, it's always nice to hear. And I just love the creativity that comes along with the Demon Slayer fandom. I've seen so many beautiful photo shoots done and amazing cosplays, and the Demon Slayer fandom actually seems a little put together as far as I can see. I've only dipped my toes into it, but it's not as much of a flaming garbage pile as some other fandoms I know.
Yeah, I love Demon Slayer. I have the Tanjiro's earrings.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was totally worth buying them for like $4 online and them eating away at my skin. But aside from that,
cheap earrings. I get that.
yeah, I like a lot of the new series that are coming out. But like you mentioned, they're very put together with the fan bases. I feel that those that don't have the put together fan bases kind of detracts from what the series is about, which is why sometimes I don't like AOT, because I like, especially with every episode coming out, Twitter goes aflame with someone complaining about the animation or someone's complaining about the story or the direction. I understand like Promised Neverland, the questionable choices they made with season 2, but like just seeing how anime fans today react and the way they'll like utter death threats to anyone who cosplays a certain character for a series they don't like to me that's so confusing. How could you project your negative energy towards someone that clearly loves this series?
I personally think we're living in a digital age right now, an age of social media. And the thing is, when you have access to letting your thoughts go out into the world with very little negative consequence possible, people tend to get a little trigger happy. So when you're watching something and something doesn't sit right with you, the first thing people seem to do is tweet about it or make a post or complain about it on Reddit. And that just spews so much more negativity into the anime spaces, because it used to just be we would go to conventions and talk about what we love and maybe critique some other things, and that would pretty much be where most of the discussion is, besides where you were talking with some older sites and YouTube when it first came out and comment sections, forums, etc., and like early social media. But now that everything is social media based, people can't really keep their thoughts to themselves anymore. So there's a lot more negativity being put out onto the web, and it really can put a stain on an anime, especially a new anime fans' experience of like the anime world. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I don't know when it started. Like I want to say that Sword Art Online, like,
yeah,
like I shit on Sword Art too, but I really cannot accept the fact that if you like Sword Art, all of these years later, people will still get at you for it. And even like Anitubers, they use it as a punching bag. And it's like, at a certain point, you just have to like understand, like, people are going to like what they like, like, let them like what they like.
Honestly, I was actually talking about this in philosophy class today. There is a difference between what is good and what you like, and that there's a balance with it. One of them is not necessarily more important than the other. Something can be good and you don't have to like it, and something you can like doesn't have to be good. It doesn't always need to overlap all the time, and there's no shame in having that balance.
Preach. Do you have any hobbies aside from cosplay, anime?
Well, I am a full-time art student, so I do a lot of art. That is a big hobby of mine. I do digital art. I'm a painter, and I mainly work with acrylic. And besides that, art, cosplay, I used to do a lot of sports, but not quite as much in COVID times. And besides all that, I don't have much going on.
None of us do right now. It's okay.
Yeah, just schoolwork, art, cosplay, and repeat.
Do you feel that you express yourself in a different way when you're creating art? Or do you feel it's all more or less the same, just different execution when you're considering cosplay and other?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I do think both my cosplay side and my visual art side are both equal ways of expressing myself and putting my energy into the world. Art can be a little more in depth with that, I believe, because cosplay, you try to portray a character as best as you can. Yes, you can. I tweak it sometimes to make it a little more unique or a little more not canon just so I feel better about what I'm doing. And that's my form of expression. TikToks are my form of expression. Choosing audios to go with certain videos and choosing certain lighting to go with certain characters, that's my form of cosplay expression. But artistic expression, like for visual arts, that is like a blank palette. There's no template. There's no thing I need to generally look like. So I can just do whatever I want with that. So it's a little more free range than cosplay, but cosplay, I like having that guideline and something to work towards. So they're very different.
Interesting. Can you elaborate a little bit further? What's your thought process when you sit down and you decide that you want to do a new cosplay, or you want to make 4 or 5 TikToks to schedule for the next week, or even if you're ready to paint and you have a blank canvas?
Okay, so cosplaying, when I decide I really want to do a new cosplay, for example, I'm going to choose Hawks from My Hero Academia because I recently dived into making a cosplay for him. I'm yet to debut it properly, but I'm really excited to do so. So first off, when I'm planning a cosplay, I have to consider the financial aspect of it, because getting a whole new cosplay, whether I'm making it from scratch, altering what I find, or buying it from a cosplay store, it costs money. That's the thing. People forget cosplay costs money. And so I consider that. And with whatever I choose to do, I go through the creative process step by step until eventually I have a finished product. And that's when it comes to marketing it, because that's what it really is. It's marketing yourself as a cosplayer and putting it out into the world. And what I tend to do is, if I am let's say I'm making a bunch of TikToks, I will think about the character and I will think, what lighting would this character use? What color scheme do I associate with this character? With Hajime Hinata from Danganronpa, I typically use green, but with pre-game Shuichi from Danganronpa, I typically use blue, while with Hawks, I would use red. And as you can tell, I've got some funky lights. And there's just a lot of different thought that goes into it, but I would be lying if I didn't say that a lot of what I do when I'm getting into cosplay is very impulsive. I'm doing my makeup and I'm thinking, and I'm like, what would make this look cool? I'm going to add a little more red blush on my nose than usual. I think I'm going to do blue eyeshadow, even though this character does not have blue eyeshadow, because I think it would look good against the lighting. And it's just little logical decisions that help me bring more life to my cosplays that I really enjoy that aspect.
Nice. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So when you're ready to post your to online, or even prepare for an event, back when we did have events, can you tell me a little bit about that process? The reason why I ask this is because from what I've heard from other cosplayers is that, especially nowadays, because of the outreach that they have with social media, they need to be a little bit more calculated when it comes to the content that they create. So do you pay attention to what time to post your content? Do you look at like what's the trendy series and if you want to cosplay a character from that, or do you just kind of like pick several that you're interested in and just really put a lot of your effort into developing and expanding on that area?
Yeah, what I tend to do when it comes to picking who to cosplay, I just choose characters that genuinely make me like vibrate with excitement when I see them. And I would think, oh man, I want to be them so bad. And that's what I choose. That was my relationship with Hawks. I would watch him and I was like, that should be me. So I went and I did it. And same with Asuka. And when it comes to posting, I definitely have to be a little more aware if I want my content to reach as many people as I want it to reach with what I'm doing. Because the Instagram algorithm in particular, I'm sure you've heard this, but it is a complete dumpster fire. It is very hard for content creators, specifically artists, to get their work out there. So I carefully consider what hashtags I'm using, because too many hashtags can typically just put you off the radar, but not enough, and you're not utilizing the hashtags. So I typically use a few hashtags including like the name of the character, the name of the show, an alternate name for the show, the acronym for the show, and anime cosplayer, and that's about it. That's probably more than some people use. It's probably less than other people use. It's just something I found that works for me. As for what time I like to post, I generally think it's best for me to post at a consistent time when I do post. I don't have a consistent posting schedule, at least not on Instagram, which is my primary platform. But I do tend to post around the same time, just so people know if I'm posting, this is when I'm posting, which typically is around 3-4 o'clock. TikTok, I try my best to post every day, but I've got 2 accounts, so it's hard to maintain those.
Well, I will say that the effort that you're putting into your social media platforms, it seems to be paying off, because not only is the content that you're putting out really good, like really good, you guys will see throughout this interview, but like the numbers, at least from what is visible to us, it reflects someone who is actually paying attention to what works for them, what works for their followers, their fan base, and continues to go through with it. So that's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Do you have any photography tips or social media tips that you'd like to pass along to up-and-coming cosplayers? You've already mentioned what works for you, but I'm sure this also came through trial and error and sleepless nights and restless days.
Yeah, my best tip, honestly, would be something that has completely changed my cosplay game. I used to take photos just by natural light by a window. That's completely great. I seriously recommend shooting by a window if you can during the day and the light allows for it. But if I were you, I would get a ring light. I literally have one right here. It is one of these funky bad boys, and they are extremely affordable, like on Amazon. You can get them pretty much anywhere, and they will change your cosplay life. Suddenly, you don't need to take your pictures at 2 p.m. when the sun is right by your window. You can take really nice photos pretty much at any point, and you could even do really cool TikToks with a ring light, and that's just a little thing that can really change cosplay. Also, something I wish someone told me when I was starting out cosplay, I actually don't follow this as much anymore because I actually ran out, but if you're cosplaying like anime girls, for example, fake eyelashes, biggest life hack. They are so good. They change the entire look. I'm not exaggerating. They make your eyes look huge.
I need to brag. I have like really long eyelashes that girls try to like claw out of my
jealous.
head.
Oh, I'm so jealous. My eyelashes are so stumpy.
Bro, if I could, like, I only wear these glasses for the look. If I could, like, remove my eyelashes, I'd actually be able to see properly because I could put them to my head.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with you with the eyelash thing. I work in social media as well, so a lot of times when I'm telling my clients, focus on your brows, focus on your eyelashes, because it really can change the perspective of your face, whether you're looking at it straight ahead or from angles. But especially with cosplay, because it adds that, in my opinion, it adds that humanistic perspective. Like, you're not always going to see really nice eyelashes on like anime characters, but when you have that with a cosplay rendition, you're adding so much more to it, and it will stand out.
I agree, but like, I do want to preface, as much as I could give 1,000,001 makeup tips and lighting tips and whatever, the best part about cosplay is it's whatever you make it. So if you like to do your photos really dark and grainy with a one pop of color, do it. If you like to oversaturate your pictures and add a bunch of funky stickers on PixArt, do it. Whatever makes you feel confident and whatever makes you look in the mirror and go, hey, that's a cool cosplayer, that is what you should be doing. And if that changes over time, that changes over time, because it definitely did for me. But it's really about having fun at the end of the day. So don't try to get too caught up in a social media persona if you're not having fun, because that's really what's most important.
Sound advice.
Thank you.
Clancy, I have a couple more questions.
Hmm.
What do you think cons will look like after lockdown, and what do you want to see from the cosplay community when we're all able to meet up with each other again?
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's a lot to think about. Um, well, there's definitely going to be huge when cons eventually do open again. I'm probably going to wait a little extra time, honestly, just for my personal safety, depending on how things are being handled and what the COVID situation is like when cons eventually do open. I'm not jumping at the first chance to go to a convention if it's not safe. But what I really do hope is there's some good COVID protocols that are in step with what the government expects people to be doing, if not a little step ahead. And that would probably include a lot of cleaning and a lot of screenings and a lot of as much as you can do for a large public event, probably a cap in the amount of people and stuff like that, a little less enter exit. But it's so hard to predict what it might be like after, because it's just so dependent on the way the world ends up being. What I do hope to see from the cosplay community, though, is I hope to see a little more warmth. I think it's a great community where everyone is very accepting of each other and tends to be very welcoming. But I feel like there can be drama, there can be problems, there can be fighting at cons, and I just want it to be, when we eventually all go back, just everyone's just happy. I mean, that's a little unrealistic, but I want people just to be happy to be back and leave whatever issues you have at the door, because it's just got to be good vibes. We need some good vibes right now.
Absolutely. But happiness shouldn't be too much to ask for. Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who isn't from Toronto what the cosplay community is like? Conventions, photographers, etc.
Okay. So about the Toronto cosplay community. The thing is, the Toronto cosplay community is a very connected web of different cosplayers, and that can be amazing, and it can cause issues because not everyone, but if you're active in the online GTA cosplay scene, you're gonna make friends and you're gonna find people that like your stuff, and you're gonna be mutuals with them on Instagram, or you're gonna see them at conventions, and it's just everyone seems to know each other. And I think that's an awesome thing for a cosplay community, because it's called a community for a reason. You got to interact with other people. The only thing that could be an issue with that, though, is if you have an issue with someone, it's hard to keep it under just between those two people when everyone is connected. So, but that's not really a huge issue. It's really just an issue if you're an asshole. So my one piece of advice is just be chill. People are really nice. I love the cosplay community here. I've seen the cosplay communities in other places, specifically in like the US, and it seems very stressful. So it's relatively chill. Everyone's really nice if you're nice back. And there's a lot of acceptance of different forms of cosplay. I've gone to meetups with tons of different cosplayers of complete different skill levels, and everyone's having a good time. So honestly, I'd just say go for it and just go to a con, try to meet new people, and you will find your people.
Very optimistic.
Yeah.
We had the same sentiments, and then like all the drama at 2015 Anime North happened. 2017. It's
yikes.
Yeah, we'll get better. Toronto's a great place, great community, especially for creatives.
It definitely is.
I want to say thank you. This was a great interview.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this.
Oh, no, thank you. Is there anything that you would like to plug? Any people that you're working with? Any cosplays that you have coming up?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to be cosplaying Hawks from My Hero Academia soon, and that's going to be really cool because it's probably my favorite wig I've ever styled, and I actually got a giant pair of red wings, and I'm going to be customizing those to make them look more realistic. So keep an eye out for that stuff because that should be dropping pretty soon. And I'm really excited for that. So keep an eye on my Instagram at Electr0kid and my TikTok also at Electr0kid or my OOC at Coscore.
Will be in the description below.
Yay!
Everyone, this was Electr0kid. This was an awesome interview. And thank you all for coming by. Take care.
Thanks. Whoa!
That was lit.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm like